juggalo attractions for you today. Dancing dead ladies and dark magic spells. It's just this way at the Dim Carnival.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dim Carnival. I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And we're very excited because this week we get to talk to you about Tales from the Lotus Pod.
The Lotus Pod.
Don't look at me. Look at the mic. Look at the mic, not it.
I am looking at the mic.
From your
What are you doing?
balls.
So fucking relax. All right. Yeah, we get to keep talking about Tales from the Lotus Pod this week, which is very exciting because it's a very good album. And we're excited. This week we're going to be talking to you about the next 4 tracks off of this bad boy, which is called Call Upon Your Gods, And We Danced, Black Magic, and Taste of Blood. We'll probably be able to get to all these. But last week, I believe we touched on some occult happenings, and I think, Steve, did you have more thoughts that you wanted to cover, or are we going to cover those as we continue, or is this...
Yeah, I think we can cover those as we continue, sorry. There will be another song, not in this episode, but later on that we'll talk a little bit more, and so I thought that would be a better time to bring up.
Nice.
In this episode, they will mention Solomon, so I might have a word or two to say about Solomon. But
oh, yeah. He's the guy that cut the baby in half, as Ryan pointed out.
He's like a...
Delicious.
He's like a brutish tombstone? Solomon?
Brutish tombstone?
like the Spider-Man villain?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Solomon Grundy.
Like a frozen pizza.
No, I don't think he's anything like that at all.
Mm.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about that.
He'd be better if he was.
Mm. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next week. So Call Upon Your Gods, which is rarely it's often a song I don't really think about when I think about this album, but I gotta say, just today I was listening to this song through headphones, and pretty slaps, guys. This song pretty slaps through headphones. It is like got so much more going on musically than I ever really realized. There's like a chanting that's happening like pretty much through the whole song. There's like raindrops, and there's like palm muted guitar, and the beat, like the bass and the kick drum, are both like super boomy and loud, like in a really good way. And then there's like little guitar like noodlings and like little weirdo like feedback sounds and stuff, and just a lot going on in this song. And it starts with a spoken word intro from Violent J, a rare spoken word intro from Violent J. No, I'm just kidding. It's not rare. All they do is speak. And I think the songs, I think it's got like a very interesting theme to it. And let's dive in.
I think it's funny how the toughest criminals and thugs and whatever before they fry in the electric chair. He does not. He skips a syllable on that word.
Electric.
They fry in the electric chair.
Electric.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny that like he says when they're the toughest criminals when they're on their deathbed the day before they fry in their electric chair. Like right. I think those are 2 different things. I think he skipped a step.
Yo, man, I heard on the streets that like 9 out of 10 inmates on death row I read it in a peer-reviewed study.
I saw it on a toothbrush commercial.
It was under my Snapple cap.
4 out of 5 doctors prefer camels.
That's just the kind of thing that I tend to think about now as a 40-year-old man is like, what claim am I making here that like just because I heard something or like when I don't know. I also heard that people on death row are religious, but I don't know where he's coming up with 9 out of 10 are ultra religious. I mean, maybe that's an actual statistic.
So the spoken word intro is Violet J just like being a liar, like being like in my own Nintendo. I heard that there's gonna be a Super Mario 5.6.
Well, yeah. Do you guys think he at least does a good job explaining like what I assume the song is about?
Yes, very.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't?
No, I think it's fine.
Okay. So
I have to admit, sometimes listening to the song, I got confused as to what the fuck is the point. Like, I mean, are they bad guys? Are they good guys?
Are they for it? Are they against it?
Yeah. But, I just figured it was my bad.
You would not get an A+ from Cool Mo D as far as sticking to themes on this song, is what I'm saying. But, yeah. So the premise of the song is, like, no matter how hard you are, when you are about to die, when you're facing mortality, you will call upon some form of God or higher power, but it won't do you any good. Like, that's what I take the premise of the song to be. But there, like you said, from person to person within the song, there's an inconsistency as to I mean, there's an inconsistency, but what would you say the inconsistency is? Or am I incorrect in my premise?
No, I think your premise is right. Because, like, at first it's just like, it feels like Violent J and the first attempt at it is that, like, you did whatever you wanted, and now at the last minute you're trying to ask for forgiveness, which ironically in Christianity you would get that forgiveness and be absolved of all the fucked up stuff you did. And in this, they're saying no. Even if you do it at the last minute, you're fucked. That's not going to absolve it. And so that's funny, but not funny, but I mean, so that's that part. What's funny is the way it changes, like with the fellows from Twisted, where like Jamie starts going into this saying like, where's the tough guy that told my God to go fuck himself, and then, which I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, it might still be in vain a little bit, because it'd be like, you said fuck God, and now you're all like, I'm burning in hell. And the other thing I found interesting was how Blaze does tell his story about being like king of the neighborhood, dying and going to hell, and then the Lotus got him out of hell. And I was very confused as to how does that happen. But maybe I should listen to his music more to figure that out.
So I love all that stuff that you brought up, Steve. I think it's great. And so I think it's just like in Jamie Madrox's verse, he's talking about hypocrisy. And so I think that's kind of, if maybe the reason why it doesn't work when you call upon your God at the end of your life and try to claim some connection to this God right in your final hour, the God's not going to listen to you. But that maybe he's trying to play off of that. I don't know. Why is that hypocritical? It's not. This is a terrible point.
I don't know. Isn't it hypocritical to be like, if you're like telling him to tell your God to go fuck himself, and then at the last second, absolutely. It is hypocritical to be like, I'm actually not tough. And so I guess that's a form of hypocrisy.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's also fear-based, but so. I
just thought it was taking all of these pieces together. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I just felt like there's this sort of they're opposed to people misrepresenting themselves, with regard to religiosity, perhaps.
Mm.
And so that's why I feel like it could kind of go either way. Like you could think you could live your whole life and not care, and then at the end be like, oh no, wait, I'm gonna be all totally into God now. Or you could I don't know, whatever. You could lie to be cool? Do people lie to be into God to be cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you could do it both ways.
Here's something kind of spooky, scary to think about. So Twisted's verses, which are back to back, Monoxide's and Jamie's, which are Monoxide's is the "Help me out, I can't understand the way I'm going."
I love that part.
Which
by the
is
way.
yeah, no, it's like it's so much better than like People Are Strange. It's ridiculous. So Monoxide's and Jamie's verses back to back can kind of be construed as like, okay, so just extrapolating, like Jamie and Monoxide's like personae as self-proclaimed serial killers. It's interesting to think about what they're actually saying in the content of their verses here, because it can sort of be construed like in a cinematic idea that like both Monoxide and Jamie are narrating from a point of view of like murderers or serial killers who are about to murder people that they feel are ungodly and are mocking them for calling upon a higher power before Jamie and Monoxide are murdering them. Because like Monoxide's saying like
that makes sense.
He's like basically like shit talking like, oh, you're like a Satan worshiper, but like I got my shotgun cocked, and then he says like, son of Sam, Sam's son, buck you with my shotgun, wicked work will be done, fuck it, catch a hot one. Like he's basically saying like, I don't understand the way you think, you're a Satan worshiper, and I'm gonna shoot you. And then Jamie's saying like he's making fun of this guy for being a heathen, and says bite your devil tongue before I stab you with this pitchfork. All that shit you talk about, my God is ashamed, crying in pain, calling his name. You're such a hypocrite. So he's saying like, I'm gonna stab you to death with a pitchfork, but now that you're in pain, you're saying like, help me, God. But where's this tough guy that told God to go fuck himself? Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Do you guys know that they are talking about a specific person in both of these verses? It's this is a diss track, you guys.
What?
This is a real life diss track. Jamie Madrox revealed in an interview that this is about the guy from A Perfect Circle.
Wow.
And so
Maynard Keenan?
No, I don't think it's not Maynard. Well, I don't know actually. I don't know if I ever read anywhere they said exactly who it was, but maybe it was Maynard. Yeah. So he says, "I see you sit in perfect circles." Monoxide says that in his verse. And so yeah, it's a diss track to A Perfect Circle. Wow. Because I guess in one of their lyrics, which I don't think there's any connection to Twisted between these two bands, except for I believe I read that there are lyrics in one of their songs where they say like "fuck God" or whatever. Mm-hmm. And apparently Jamie took exception to that.
Well, they had that famous song Judith, which was really good.
Oh yeah, maybe
it's the song. That's the song that we're talking about.
Yeah, okay, that's the one.
I like that.
Judith?
Part of the reason why I never really cared for this song, I remember when I was listening to this album when it came out, and I think it was actually mostly because of Mars's verse, if you can believe it.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and jump in real quick before you elaborate on that. And I'm going to go on record as saying, on track 5, 4 songs in, I'm going to say this is the first track where I greatly prefer Anybody Kill verse to Mars's.
Same.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because Mars's is just like stupid. It's just like singing all dumb. And like it doesn't make any sense. So
I hope this isn't what his Christian rap sounds like.
I have to say, going back and listening to these songs to prepare for this episode, I stopped listening to the Mars version, and now I'm only listening to ABK because I just know the Mars one so well, and I'm tired of it tainting how I'm feeling about the ABK. So going into this song, I automatically agreed with what Bill was saying, but I didn't know if it was me starting to be like, oh, I'm like falling in line with Psychopathic and liking the right one.
Good job, Steve. I'll probably get there with you guys eventually.
But you still like Mars's verse better on this one?
You know, I can't. I listened to the whole ABK album
Once.
Yep, and just to like see how I felt about it. I mean, I read the lyrics and I listened to it, and it just seemed sort of flat. I don't think I have any specific notes about any ABK lyric because there wasn't really any that like jumped out at me. And the only things that I really have to say about Mars are things that I felt when I was listening to it before, you know? So
Yeah. Fair enough. Further thoughts on Call Upon Your Gods, or shall we move along?
Well, I want to let you guys know that I made a mistake.
Ooh.
And I
corrections. Got a correction coming in hot.
We actually got an email, and you guys can give me a little bit of forgiveness because it was almost a month ago that the homie Jiggles emailed us about this album, and I mentioned some of the things from that email on last week's episode, I think. But one of the things that I forgot about was at the very end of the email, he went through and listed some track information, who produced which tracks on this album.
Ooh, hell
so I want to let you guys know
Mike
that
Clark one?
Call Upon Your Gods was produced by Mike P.
Ooh.
And we can go back. I can tell you guys from last week as well that Mike P also produced the intro and Alibaba. He also produced Hurt Myself.
What? Wait, Mike P produced Alibaba?
Yes.
Whoa.
According to the homie Jiggles, I am taking him as being the final answer on this.
You would know much better than we would. Jeez.
Oh,
wow.
yeah, for sure.
Blown away. Very impressed. Very impressed that he produced both Alibaba and this track.
And maybe that could explain some of the mixed production that you described last week when we were talking about Alibaba. But there was a Mikey Clark track last week. It was Something, or whatever the other title is that I don't want to say.
Okay, fair enough.
And apparently that same beat was later used, according to the homie Jiggles, later used on the track It for Forgotten Freshness 3.
Ooh.
Yes.
It.
Yes.
Which I just last week watched the new version of It for the first time.
Oh, what'd you think?
I have a lot of thoughts about it. Maybe we could talk about it at the end of the episode. All right. Shall we move on? But that's very important information.
Yeah, it's great.
There are two songs off this album that Violent J puts new lyrics over in the studio, and they are fantastic songs, and It is a great song. I put poop in a hot dog.
Well, looking forward to checking that one out when we get to Forgotten Freshness 3.
He goes on about the dogs.
Totally forgot about that. Yeah, you're right.
Do you remember that? Yeah. And he goes on about the dogs. Sorry.
Okay. Shall we move along?
Yeah, we can go on to the next one.
All right. And the next one is, guys, I think we're happy to talk about this song. This is a song called And We Danced. And if you haven't listened to this song, go ahead and take a listen right now. Guys, it was a dark and stormy night.
Oh, was it?
This fucking shreds so much ass.
Pun intended.
Yes, and also marijuana leaves.
Alcoholic beverages.
Yes.
This is a sex song that Steve likes, I think.
It is a sex song that Steve likes.
Amazing. Oh, we found one.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
It just had to be people fucking zombies.
Consensual dead people fucking.
So you agree that it's all consensual?
Yeah, they came out of the ground to do it.
Can't argue with that.
Well, these aren't just dead bodies. These are living dead.
These are 5 ravishing, beautiful, lovely dead women.
Oh, I love this song, you guys.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite songs on the album. It was always one of the ones that I very much looked forward to. I think it's hilarious and super fun.
Let me ask you a question, Ryan.
Okay.
Do you like a Ouija?
Blood, flesh, romance.
Yeah. Just good song. It's a good song. It's very evocative, and it's hilarious and also gross. And also, like, I just all the time, I don't know why, all the time, like every day of my life, I'll be like walking around and I'll just think, is that your ass or back I'm grabbing? And like the funny part about that line is that it doesn't make sense, and it's not necessarily gross or have anything to do with a zombie.
Right. I mean, when you compare it to sticking your tongue into something and you're not sure whether it's an orifice or a tear, that seems much worse.
Yes, I agree.
I feel like Jamie really sets it off on this one. Like, I feel like for this kind of song, they carry this mood. It's something that I think is kind of special about this track, that they all really, sometimes not every verse gets what the track is about, or it feels a little bit off, or it doesn't hit the same notes. But on this one, I feel like everybody's on.
Yes.
And they kind of all talk to each other too.
Yeah.
So it's really like, it really flows together, and it's just a really well crafted song.
I also like that. I appreciate about Jamie that, like, basically every time he raps about sex, which is a lot, every sex song, Jamie Madrox is really bad at sex. Like, he infers that he, like, creams his jeans at the end of this verse, basically. His underwear is wet.
Do you guys think that it is odd or convenient that there are 5 dead women? Being that we've got 5 homies on the track here?
I mean, I guess it's convenient. Well, we actually have 6 homies on the track. We have 5 homies on the track. There's 6 homies in Dark Lotus.
Right, but one of them's not on this one.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think it's convenient.
You think it's convenient? Okay. Well, this track, We Danced, was one of the ones that was produced by Mikey Clark. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like, and actually, the homie Jiggles, he gives us a little bit more information about some future songs. One of them, which he believed was recorded a few years prior to this album, also produced by Mikey Clark. And so it could be that this song was recorded before Mars was invited to join the group.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I feel like that
was my assumption just listening to it.
Yeah, like one of them ain't there.
Because, I mean, they're saying Dark Lotus, and it's just, like, Twisted in ICP, so it made sense that I was like, they probably recorded this before Mars, since he was, like, this random dude we never heard of that's all of a sudden part of Dark Lotus.
So, guys, I feel like this song has corroboration for me, always believing that Shaggy was waggling his dick at a male neighbor in the shower. I feel like I'm vindicated in my thoughts because Violent J, so the narrator says there's 5 beautiful, lovely dead women. The narrator is Violent J, but that's neither here nor there. He does say that, yes, correct. However, he knows that after the fact that there's 5, because in the heat of the moment, Jay is not aware that there are 5 women for these 5 gentlemen, and he sees everyone else hooking up with these zombie ladies, and he's lonely. He had no one. So what he is going to do is he's going to jack off while he watches Shaggy 2-Dope kiss someone.
Aww. Yeah.
And
we talked about this on, like, episode 1.
And he gets completely naked to do it.
Well,
he had his pants down.
Well,
yeah.
when he's doing his deed, he gets poked in the butt and he turns around and there's a lady with no feet. And
I'm naked early, yeah.
And he's naked early.
Well, to be fair, Violent J is always naked.
Yeah. Good point.
Also, I believe that Violent J is probably a type of person who thinks no pants counts as naked.
Right. We know that is fully naked as Violent J ever gets, according to himself. I love that. I love every verse in this song.
It's all good.
But sometimes you like to feel the wind on your butt when you're jacking off. Steve, you ever jacked off outside?
Oh, you jack off inside?
Fucking weirdo. I do when I'm mowing the lawn. Hey, Marv.
Lordy.
You mentioned Shaggy Tudo. I feel like I want to allege or make a statement that I feel like this is the most respectful lover that Shaggy has been on any track.
I was just about to say that definitely the most romantic thing that Violent J has ever said on a romantic track is, "Your boobies, may I hold them?"
Right. They're so. Here we have it's informed consent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that he says, this song is so grotesque.
We went behind the tombstone, and I said, "Your boobies, may I hold them?"
I love that he says boobies.
Yeah. That's how romantic he's being.
Well, at least he can hold these, because when Monoxide tries to hold the other ladies, it just poof.
It turns dust.
I love also Monoxide. I mean, Monoxide's whole verse I feel like is incredible. Really amazing vocal stylings. Actually, everybody does a pretty good job on this track. But obviously Twisted always doing great. But the last two lines, I love the blood and guts. I love the sex with the dead. I love the sluts with the snakes coming out of their head.
Thanks.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Okay, so apparently, according to Genius, he says, I had to open up her cheeks. I've always thought he said I had to yank a couple teeth.
Oh, really?
Either way, gross.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one's better.
Yeah, neither.
Yeah, I thought they said teeth too.
But he's the Ichi the Killering her.
I think that, guys, I feel like Violent J's verse might be my favorite verse of his on this entire album.
Yeah.
Just because it's so fun, and he's doing a different, we've talked about this on multiple episodes of when he kind of does something different or whatever, tries to do a fun thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just really goes over well in this song. Like, it really, really hits.
For sure. And he's being so bashful. He's like, oh, well, they're all having gross, destructive sex with zombies. I guess there's none of those for me, so...
I love the way he says, and her skin ripped open, you could see her heart.
Yeah.
It's such a great
and
line.
what about when Shaggy says, and we dance? Because right at the they each at the end of their verse, after it goes into the chorus, each person, I believe, says the line, and we dance.
Mm-hmm.
Shaggy. This is like a real dance song, though.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys really listen to the music and all,
Yeah.
it's like everybody's like,
So
Yeah.
good.
And like,
Fucking
but
dance
it
song is what I wrote.
but it has a Halloween feel to it, or or like
there's that like
groovy
crow
there's like
cawing in the background.
yeah, it's like a groovy
It's groovy,
70s laugh Olympics with horror.
Like, this is basically a spiritual successor to Headless Boogie.
Yeah.
Like, we did the Headless Boogie, and then we found out we could fuck them, so...
Right, like, well, now they're
Yeah.
coming out of the mausoleum or whatever. They're going out
Yeah.
into the graveyard.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little more fun out there.
Well, I think we're all in agreement. The song rules. Do we have anything else to say, or shall we move along to...
Just
Matt?
very proud that I can say I like a sex song.
Yeah. It
We
was
did
bound
it.
to happen someday.
We did.
If there's anything we accomplished in this podcast.
All right, let's move on. We're going to talk about magic, black magic. What? If you haven't listened to Black Magic, go ahead and take a listen right now. Guys, heckle meckle Lucifer.
Heckle Jekyll Crucifer. Oh. I'm sorry. I believe no one said echo. What the fuck?
Said Echo Mecco.
Oh, I guess
Holy
we
shit.
did. We sure did, didn't we?
Oh my god,
That was
Steve.
great. That
You
was
gotta
perfect.
get that thing out of
That's
the house.
all
That's
time.
the fucking
That is an
devil
all
right there. If that doesn't convince you of the evilness of that machine,
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, we'll be having conversations, and all of a sudden, the shit just starts talking, like answering us. We're like, what?
they're always
You know,
listening,
like,
Steve.
take-
Oh, I know. Like, everything I say is recorded now, so
You
We're
ever,
all gonna die.
you
we're
ever,
all gonna die.
you ever crank out a hellacious bong rip and it's like, I'm calling the police.
Texting Jeff Sessions.
Oh, that's good. No, but last night we started telling it to bark like a
Gets
dog.
That joke gets the Steve seal of approval. So this song talks about Solomon. Steve?
Yeah. Oh, so I talked a little bit about Solomon last week when I was talking about how modern Freemasons, they have their mythology on how they were started, and so the mythology is that that the first Masons were these not just like mathematician experts and able to craft buildings and walls and all these different things that Masons do, but they also had a spiritual aspect to them, and so I didn't bother to look up his name and figure out how to say it right. So again, I'll butcher the poor fellow's name, but the lead master mason was like Arim Habib or something to that effect, and he was hired by King Solomon to build the Jewish temple. And so they built this elaborate temple, and as they were building it, like I said, because he knew the secret name of God, these guys tried to get it from him, and they murdered him, and so the secret name of God was lost, and then eventually all the chaos that comes from that, the Freemasons were splintered, and they like fled Jerusalem, and they went, and so a big group of them traveled through a country called Tyre or something to that effect. And so to this day, Freemasons have this like secret, like I say, you're broken down on the side of the road, but you have a Freemason sticker on your car and you're trying to like fix your tire or something. And then if another Freemason pulls over, they'll come up to you and say, have you traveled far? And they'll say, I've traveled a tire. And that's like a secret code, meaning that like they traveled like the big trip that the first Freemasons took and dispersed across the lands with their secrets of occultism and math and different things like that. And that's kind of how King Solomon in one way ties into occultism. But King Solomon also is supposed to be like the smartest man that had lived. And part of what being smart was that he was a necromancer. He had like control of the dark arts, and so yeah, King Solomon's supposed to be pretty badass like that.
Nice.
That's all I got.
So I think we mentioned multiple times about how Vianji talks in his book about how this album came out in like a dark time in his life, and that he doesn't necessarily like the content because it just feels really dark. But when I was looking up stuff about this album, I found on the Fago Lovers forums, somebody shared a little bit of information, something that Violent J wrote, where he's describing this time and this album, and it relates to this track. And so if it's okay with you guys, it's kind of long, but I'd like to read it for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Violent J. I want to talk a little bit about Dark Lotus record. I'm serious, y'all. It's fucking scary. It contains real black magic. I'm talking the real deal. Many of the songs on this album are recorded by candlelight with garlic stems hanging above us. We followed the books exactly. Many times while we were reciting the album's lyrics, the temperature in the studio would drop below freezing. I'm telling you that many of the lyrics on Tales of the Lotus Pod are taken straight from the real books of black magic. This is from Violent J's book, I'm pretty sure. It all started with these authentic books of black magic that we got from Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. No, we didn't go all the way there to get them or anything, but my brother Jumpsteady was there years ago. He was in the army and he was stationed deep in the desert. It's spelled dessert. We found the books and he brought them back to us. We dug these books. Okay, so they get these books. We got mad scared when all types of crazy shit started happening to us. I woke up one night with a faceless woman floating above my bed. I was so shook I couldn't move. My dogs and I just laid there watching the spirit until it faded away. Another crazy point was when I woke up with a black crow in my fucking bedroom. We had to call an animal ninja to come and get it out. After a few things like that happened, we decided to change a few lyrics. Too much is too much, so we finally went back to the studio and changed some of the lyrics just a tiny bit so that the juggalos everywhere wouldn't be getting haunted by wicked spirits just for singing the words. We changed some shit, but hardly any. It's almost exactly by the book, but everybody should be okay, I hope. Be careful while you're singing along to that album in your car because you have no idea what you might call it from the beyond.
Mm-hmm.
It's real black magic. And so I remember reading this and then listening to this song, and there's all these different, in Alibaba and all these different tracks, there's chanting and different things that we don't understand or words that they're saying, and that's what I think that they're saying is all of this stuff that they read in a book.
Mm-hmm. They definitely they appear to have more knowledge of the occult and other cultures than I certainly would have given them credit for.
Yeah, for sure. I was actually pretty impressed with some of the stuff that they talk about, bring up.
And it's possible that it's just like them all being on a tour bus for years, a Monoxide Child being like, you know what I read about Egypt?
Well, they could very well just have a bunch of the same books I have.
Sure.
You know, I mean, this shit, you could buy it at fucking Barnes & Noble.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, that's where I bought most of my stuff. And, yeah, I mean, and if you believe this stuff is real, whether it's a placebo effect or not, the shit's spooky.
Yeah, I'll kill myself right motherfucking now and still won't die.
Try.
So,
I have a story that's like Violent J's.
Go on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, when I was living all alone, didn't have a roommate, I just had my 2 cats, I had a colleague that I was teaching how to play bass. And this fellow was looking at some of my books, and I have a book called Modern Magic. And it's basically based off of the occult group of the OTO, which I don't even want to try to say it because it's in Latin and I butcher it. But the OTO was either founded or for a long time was run by Aleister Crowley from back in the day, but it's been transferred through different people and it's changed a lot. But this person, whatever, comes from that line, and so it's full of spells and how to do things, and so he asked if he could borrow it, and I was I go, let me look at it before I let you borrow it, because he was an African American fellow, and I was afraid there might be some racist shit in it, so I kind of wanted to read through it again to make sure that there wasn't before I let him borrow it, and there wasn't, thank God. But I was reading some spells, and I was way towards the back of the book, and they kind of work like science books. I hate to say it that way, but occultists, when they do spells, they have them that go so far back to the 16th, 17th century, because they're like math formulas where if you do something, they write it down, and then forever everyone copies that because it always works the same. And so that's what like Book of Shadows are supposed to be. You'll see like other groups of occultists and all the different realms and other religions like Wicca and stuff. Like all these people, when they're doing spells, they're making up their own. They do Books of Shadows is what they're called. And so if they work for them and you repeat it, it should work for you. And so I was reading way in the book, and they're like, if you haven't like learned how to do protection spells, don't go forward. And all I did was I read some shit, and it was really scary what the spell was supposed to do. And all of a sudden, in the kitchen, it was nighttime, and in my kitchen, I was in my bedroom, and I heard a bunch of commotion in the kitchen. And so then I was like, oh, my stupid cats. And I looked, and both of them were on the bed with me, and they were staring out the door, freaked out too. And so I got up, and I went, and I turned on the light in the kitchen, and all my fucking cabinet doors were open. I swear to God. And I'm not big on saying any of this shit's real. I don't know that I believe in ghosts and aliens. These are all things I want to believe in. But, like, I don't, like, have super definitive stuff. Like, I mean, technically, at the time I was living in San Francisco on a busy street where buses and trucks will drive down sometimes. So maybe, like, a bus drove by and it, like, made the cabinet doors open that one particular time when I was reading that book. And never did it again. I don't know. But, I'm not trying to rule out there isn't some explanation, but that shit scared me. I fucking lit incense and walked around my house all like rebuking the devourer. I was just like, get the shit out of my house clean, because like I wanted to go to sleep, and that shit scared me. So
yeah, man.
So just saying, Violent J might really believe what he's saying, and there might be truth to it.
Wow,
that was awesome, Steve. Love it.
Wild.
I feel like an idiot.
No,
that's fucking awesome, man.
That shit scared me, guys.
This is the content
it was scared me. You telling me about it.
That shit scared me. Like it was like the Sixth Sense when like the mom walks out of the kitchen and walks back in, and like the little boy's all fucking like paranoid with his hands on the table, and like all the drawers and cabinets were open in the kitchen. That's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw that shit. And I was just like, I'm going to bed. Like, I'm going to clean my house. I'm going to bed.
Steve, I'll be honest with you. That story was so scary. Ryan peed his pants.
My butthole just spit in my pants.
butthole spit in my
underwear. So we love talking about these tracks so much that we're actually running a little bit behind. So I was confident at the top of this episode that we would get to all four of these tracks. And guess what? I lied. We're gonna get to Taste of Blood next week, and we probably need a lot of time to talk about Taste of Blood. So
give me that blood. Give me that blood.
Look. I'll just suck the blood out of a heroin needle. But let's finish up talking about this song. So this song is about black magic, guys.
Yeah, it is.
This is an interesting. So this is another one that I don't really think about a lot, but like when I'm confronted with it, I'm like, oh yeah, no, good song, solid song. Not like one that is like a favorite or anything, but I think it's interesting that like this track is no one has a verse. It's just everyone interspersing stuff the whole time.
Yeah.
Just going around and around. Like the chorus of Alibaba, but a whole song. But I do feel, guys, like this is very, very, very much a direct spiritual predecessor to Miracles.
Hell yeah.
Yes, it is. That was.
I
wanted to bring that up too.
Because we have always known ICP to like wonder and delight in childlike glee at things. Like, their albums are dedicated to a butterfly that Violent J and his brother found when they were kids, and it died, and they felt bad about it. So they're always living their lives trying to make it up to this butterfly that they found that was pretty. So like that's the way that they live their lives. So like it's not a shock to us, but this is a song where they sort of lay out a list of things that they think are fucking mind-blowing that are magic.
Some of these are legitimately magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
and then others.
I go east, you go west. It follows both of us. Magic.
Magic.
Northern
but-
Lights.
Northern Lights are amazing.
Could you imagine what people must have thought about that though? Like not knowing what it was, and you saw that shit.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff, you know,
Well-
shooting stars and
Volcanic lava, earthquakes. Weather causes aches.
Weather.
it's one way to say it.
It's true. Now
No, it does,
after
yeah.
I hurt my knee, now when it's cold, my knee hurts.
Yeah, that isn't magic.
Right. But you know what he's trying to say
You
is
know
that
what
people
is
can
magic?
predict the weather with an ache. That's magic.
I don't think that
No,
is-
it's not.
You say weather causes aches.
It's magical. Right. Right. You feel the ache before the weather comes. That's what the whole thing is.
No. That is the thing. But
The weather causes
Yeah,
the ache.
right before it's raining really hard, sometimes it gets cold and my knee starts to hurt, and then it starts raining. I'm like, yep, it's gonna rain.
I'm the only one that happens to.
no.
I just
what
said it happens to me.
I want.
I'm
just
sorry,
gonna throw-
I'm being mean to you, Ryan. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, I don't mind at all. Keep it up. I just want to say I don't want to talk too much about it, but if anybody is listening and cares to know about cool shit or wants to look up something that's completely fucking wild, look up megalithic polygonal masonry. It has to do with the pyramids and Stonehenge and some other like
Oh, that's
like
yeah.
mega ancient ruins like beyond old.
That's
and some
good
crazy.
shit.
Some wild theories that people have about ancient civilizations, lost high technology, really, really cool stuff. And then you can also, if you're interested in the pyramids, if you haven't looked up this stuff about, what's his name? Nikolai Tesla and his theory of electricity, and what they think the pyramids may have been used for like a global electrical grid. Fucking awesome stuff.
Oh,
No matter
good
what
stuff.
you think about if it's real or not, it's so interesting. I highly recommend checking it
You
out.
know, all those monuments are connected by ley lines across the planet.
Mm-hmm.
They sure are.
All things serve the beam.
They sure do. And you can follow the beam with all the broken glass.
So they list some things that are definitely magic and some things that are lightning bugs. And
Well, like Amityville.
yeah,
Rings of Saturn.
Well, that would
Amityville.
be magic in a way, I guess. I mean, supernatural.
So they're like hypnosis, ESP, mental telepathy, Amityville, Northern Lights, Blood Red Moonlit Nights, and then Rings of Saturn, the Black.
The black hole.
Yes, the
Yes. I wrote that down.
Also, mind
he was
over
just
body
specifically-
control. Like they think that the ability to like
There's no difference.
no, they think that the ability to like tell your arm to go up and down is magic, which it kind of is.
Well, I mean, there's no difference between your mind doesn't control your body. Your mind and body are the same thing.
The body
So-
always lies when it comes to love.
That's not
Actually,
true.
wow. Deep pull. Awesome. Well done, sir.
Awesome.
Did you know that they played a special concert and they had Matt and Mike Richardson, Matt from Polar Bears, and Mike Richardson came back and they played all their old shit?
Yeah.
We're talking about the New Trust. Everybody go listen to the New Trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love.
Did you guys see a couple weeks ago that Whitney Cummings got really excited about MXPX?
Oh man, no, I missed that.
Yeah, she, I forget. They tweeted about her, and then she like tweeted back about how dorked out she was that they mentioned her, and then they wrote back to her saying like, "Oh, that makes sense. While the two ladies and two broke girls were wearing MXPX shirts in an episode."
Oh, what?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's just like and I was like all wanting to to both of them, like, I saw you in 1995 at Great America, but I knew better, didn't.
Nice.
I just really like. So Jay, I feel like Jay's the only one that really has this verse, right? Well, I mean, he is the only one that has this verse, or a verse like this. I think it makes it kind of cool that it's bookended on either side by them each coming in for like a line or a phrase or whatever and alternating. it makes it feel like, to me, I picture like a seance, like everybody's together, but there has to be one person who's like leading it. And so that's Violent J, and he's kind of like, breaking the fourth wall a little bit and talking directly to the audience and describing the scene that we're seeing of the seance. I think it's a really visual, cool song, and you could probably spend a lot of time thinking about all the different shit that he talks about.
Yeah, it's a great song, and it's a great song in that it's subtle about how great it is. Because again, it's not like one of the things that you like think about when you think about this album, because you're not like, oh, this has such hilarious verses, and this is, the flow is so good, and this person's a standout, because nobody's a standout in this track because they're all in it together. But it's like, it's just so solid, and like the whole like dig Solomon, dig, like that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
it's very, very cool.
I like that. There's like
go ahead,
certain. All right, sorry, thanks. There's like certain like background or like a background noise that sounds like backward masking. I mean, obviously there's a lot of like backwards talking in this, but there's just like this like ambient music going like doo 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 doo, and then like this like backward sounding, and it always reminds me of Ghostbusters.
Okay.
They hate that.
Do.
Not the Ghostbusters song.
The movie.
From the actual movie.
The movie.
I know what you're talking about. The score.
The Ghostbusters movie, the only one. Melissa McCarthy, Leslie Jones, and the others. Kristen Wiig.
The others. I need to see that still. I really want to see that. It's
good. I don't know, but it's good.
I think it's on Amazon or who? I think it's on Amazon Prime.
I'm gonna watch it.
Do you guys know? Does anybody know or look up what the parts you mentioned, the backwards talking?
No.
No.
Okay, cool. Because I did.
Oh.
At the beginning of the track, during the intro music, there's some. He mentions different types of folks associated with magic. So he says, I don't think it's in this order. Maybe it is: magicians, sorcerers, witch doctors. And that's what he's saying there. In the middle, there's a backwards part where he says, I don't remember if I wrote down the exact words, that the 6th Joker's card will be the end of times. Something to that effect about how the next Joker's card is going to be the end of, like, the sky is going to fall, or it's going to be the end of days or whatever. And then the last track, what's up?
I said Chicken Little.
Oh, yeah. The last thing at the very end, as they're going out, he gives a bunch of shout outs. And it starts with God bless Mikey Clark and Twisted. And he says, like, I think he says Blaze and all the Juggalos, and to you, like us, we get a shout out from Violent J in this track.
Nice.
Yeah. I thought it was really nice.
Well, I'm glad that he enjoys our podcast.
Yeah, that's super cool.
It's magic.
He knew about it in 2001 when he recorded.
Yeah. Did you guys know what crucifer meant?
I thought they just made it up because I thought it was
so
like
too.
crucifix, but Lucifer.
But I looked it up, and you know how in like Catholic churches and then other the first branches of Protestant, like the Methodists and Lutherans, they'll have processions where it will be led, where they're either in the church walking towards the front of the church, or they might be walking down the street in a parade, and there's this dude standing in front holding a long stick with a cross on it.
Mm-hmm.
He's the crucifer.
That's awesome.
That's his job. And then there is also cruciferous vegetables, which are like cabbage and broccoli and cauliflower and kale, which when they grow up, they have 4 petals that like form underneath the vegetable itself, and they form a cross. So they're called cruciferous vegetables. Wow,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I never look up stuff for this. That's why I'm always the idiot of the podcast. But when I was like, did they just make... I always just assumed they made Crucifer up to rhyme with Lucifer, and I was like, what the fuck? So I was like, you know what? Why don't I Google it? And bam, there it was.
That's
I
so
tried
awesome.
so hard to look up different phrases and words and anything that I saw on the Genius lyrics that didn't look like a real word to see if I could find anything that was referenced to being in some other kind of book about the occult or anything. Was not able to. But on the same line that you're talking about, when I was thinking about that, I thought of Pee-wee's Playhouse and Jambi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I was a kid,
Mecca Lecca High,
I
Mecca
was
Hiney Ho.
I was just fucking off, and I was saying that, and my stepmom, she turns to me and she's like, "You should be really careful about who you say that around."
Right.
And I didn't understand. I thought it was just gibberish. And then I looked at this, and it says, and it's Meckel Heckle. That's very close to what Jambi says.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the
And
thing.
so maybe they're both based in something.
Yeah, well, it is. And all those, most of those, if I'm not mistaken, are Arabic words. If I'm not mistaken, I could be. It's actual people that are more studied on this that are listening to this podcast, and I know there's hundreds can correct me on this, but like abracadabra, actual word used in like occult practices, and like it turned into like a big punchline. I mean, it was in songs, it was in 80s cartoons. You know, I mean, it's just like this silly thing that we say now.
I'm an umpire.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but that actually comes like in some of these books I have, like there's actually ways that you can say it shorter and it means a little bit something different and does something different. And then you can actually make it a lot longer than that. And like, there's something to do with the way, like phonetically it's said. That like creates probably a rhythm or creates some type of like probably maybe even a state of mind. Like it might be a mantra that helps like focus you to be able to, because like in occult practices or any magic ritual things like meditation is key. The first thing to being like a practitioner of any type of magic and doing spells is that first you master your mind or do your best, and like using Buddhist. So you'll see a lot of cultists are big into Buddhism and different types of Eastern mysticism, Hindu, like offshoots of religions. And like I have Aleister Crowley's like Magnus Opus, which is called the Book of Magic, and I think it's called like 4 or something, and it has like 4 major books that he wrote and put them in one big giant volume, and the first quarter of the book is all about yoga. And so there are like tons of pictures of Aleister Crowley doing all these yoga poses. And so like he said that first you learn yoga and learn to master your mind so that when you start doing the magic rituals from this other stuff, your mind is focused and you can do it right, and you can direct the energy in your body from the practices of yoga.
Yeah, some fucking Doctor Strange shit right there.
Yeah, sure is.
I always thought it was cool that J.K. Rowling made the Killing Curse sound like abracadabra, or I assumed that was intentional.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like cadaver.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Stop it. No, I'm just talking to
Nice save.
He actually really was. He's hanging out with me next to me on the couch, and if I touch him too much, he bites me.
Yeah, that's a cat.
Yep.
What's a cat you got there? All right. I think that we should wrap it up, eh?
Yeah, man.
So we'll get to my thoughts on the movie It next week, I guess. Thanks to everyone for listening. It's always a blast, always a good time. Next week we will be covering some more tracks from Dark Lotus, Tales from the Lotus Pod. I'm not going to get too cocky and say what they are, but at least 3. So let's go ahead and listen to, for next week, let's listen to Give Me That Blood or Taste of Blood, Headache, Bad Rep, Bitch I'm Sexy. If you want to get ambitious, listen to Swarm. So, but just be prepared. Be prepared. If you listen to Swarm, you're going to have to go real hard. So, thanks to everybody for listening. You can get in touch with us on Instagram and Twitter at Dim Carnival. Email us, dimcarnival@gmail.com, if you got any more tasty tidbits. And, leave us a review on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts, as we enjoy those very much. So if you've been enjoying us and you want to just leave a little review, a little sentence, we would appreciate it very much. So thanks to everybody, and until next week, I'm Bill.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Ryan.
And, I'll jack off while Shaggy smooches. You ever think about just animation, just a bush, and you see some motion in the foreground, but not really. You see a bush, and you just see real slowly Valiant J's spiked blonde hair rise out of the bush, and just the top of his face up to his nose, and his eyes all big.
See, it's funny. I had a different thought. I always think of the stupid Simpsons meme where Homer comes out of the bushes, but it's his face naked, and then he gets poked in the butt and he goes back into the bushes.